the way that I see it, that there are three different types of people who are overweight or really struggle with their weight. Ladies who have struggled with their weight their whole life. Now, most ladies that have struggled with their weight their whole life also have family members who have struggled with their weight in their whole life. And it kind of just seems like that's just the way it is. Maybe it's genetic, maybe it's environmental, maybe it's a combination of the two. We're not really sure, but something is going on where the whole life has been involved in that. And then sometimes there's different levels of stress with that. Some people are not stressed out about it at all. They're just like, oh, that's just what our genetics are. That's just what our family does. We're just big people. It's not really a big deal. Until sometimes what happens is you end up having some lifestyle diseases and things that happen, and people kind of like wake up and go, wait a minute, like, is this the way that it has to be? Is this the way that I want it to be? Is there a different way for me to live? There can be a little bit of confusion around that, because it's like, if something has been a certain way my whole life, like, how could it possibly be different? Like, what would I need to do or not do for it to be different? And I feel like I would have to like change everything about me. It's not necessarily true, but it can feel like that, right? So there's people who have really struggled or, with their weight for their whole life. Then there's another group of people where something happened. There's some kind of an event that happened. So typically it will be, maybe there was some kind of surgery or an accident. Maybe it was having children. Maybe it was a divorce. Maybe it was when your parents passed. Maybe it was menopause, right? There's plenty of women who for their whole life didn't really think much about their weight in any really significant way until some life event happened. Something happened. They kind of point back to like there's a before that and there's an after that in terms of weight. Now, that could be at totally different ages. It could be totally different life circumstances, but something happened and now it's different. Something has changed. There's a third type. This type of woman struggles with her weight, and it might not necessarily show up on the scale or in different size clothes or at the doctor's office with some kind of lifestyle disease. It might not show up in a way where people can actually see it and notice it and comment about it. But a lot of the weight is carried between, it's like the heaviest 6 inches of life is this 6 inches that lives in between our ears. And these women have really struggled intensely with their self-image, with their body image, with their weight. And a lot of it is inside of their mind, even though the scale might only go up and down a couple of pounds. The kind of torture that a lot of these women put themselves through for years and years is mostly inside of their mind. So they got a heavy mind. What's really interesting about all three of these, and I would love your interpretation, your perception. Do you feel like you fit into one of these three categories as I see it? Someone who has really struggled for their whole life or most of their life, someone who didn't really think about weight until a particular event happened, something happened, and now it just seems like a big struggle? Or do you find that it's mostly the itty bitty shitty committee kind of chatting with you in your head constantly, and you wish that you could just have some relief from all of that? So the good news here is that regardless of the reason behind, their life experience might be different, what people see and perceive might be different, their own perceptions might be different, but there's one thing that flows through all of these different women's lives who struggle, and that is the thinking. It's the belief system. This woman here is stuck in the belief that it's going to be hard. It's totally different. It's unfamiliar. I've been this way my whole life. How am I possibly going to change? She might try and convince herself that it's fine. She's just big boned, right? It's genetic. It runs in the family. So there's a belief system that is set up just underneath the surface that is perpetuating a certain experience in her life. This woman, something happened, and although the result might be a fluctuation in their weight, oftentimes what happens is she ends up beginning to believe some things about herself, or running from diet to diet, or trying to do what her friend did, or trying to do what she did when she was in her 20s, hoping that it's going to work now that she's in her 60s, and wondering why it doesn't, and ending up getting super frustrated. But even if something happened in life, we are often stuck with a certain belief system, especially when it comes to after I had kids, or after menopause, or during menopause, or around menopause, or whatever. There's this idea that, oh yeah, things just are hard now. Oh yeah, my hormones have changed. Now, although that might be accurate, it doesn't mean there's nothing that you can do about it. It doesn't mean that you're just stuck and that's the way that it has to be. Now, if you choose to just, end up loving yourself and that's it, obviously that's the whole point of all of this, is to feel comfortable and confident in our body, whatever weight the scale actually says. But if there is some suffering and there is some frustration and you want it to be different, but it's not different, there's an underlying belief system that is supporting this staying stuck. Well, you don't got to stay stuck. And then even if it's in your, well, especially if it's in your head, but all three of these, right? If it's in your head, there's a belief system that you are, whatever it is, it's a little bit different for each woman, but something about not being enough, right? You're not enough unless it's a certain weight. You're only happy if you're losing weight. You're, oftentimes women believe that their self-esteem is wrapped up in what it is that they look like. If something happens in life, then all of a sudden they feel bloated and overweight, and then they feel worthless. And if things are going well, then it's like, okay, I feel great. Maybe I can eat a little bit more, but then you eat more, but then you gain some weight, then you feel bad about yourself again. And it can be this like vicious cycle, this way of dealing with emotions. And the belief system, it's a little bit twisted around weight. So the good news here is that all three of these different experiences have a belief system. It might be a different belief system, but it is a belief system that is functioning just underneath the surface at a subconscious level. Sometimes it peeks its way up into our conscious awareness and we go, whoa, yeah, that is what I believe. And why do I believe this way? And sometimes we question it. And other times it's just, oh, well, that's just the way that it is. Until someone comes along and says, I thought that way too. I changed the way that I thought. I changed my beliefs. And now my life is different. I realized that that belief system was working against me, that it wasn't actually true, wasn't actually accurate. You don't have to gain 30 pounds just because you're going through menopause, right? It's not impossible to lose weight just because you're going through menopause. It's not impossible to reverse your diabetes. Like, in terms of human psychology and human health and the incredible magnificence of your body, all things are possible. So if there's anything that you're taking off the table as, well, I've dealt with this my whole life and it's just the way that it's going to be, that is a belief. It is not truth in the sense of capital T truth, where there's no wiggle room, right? There's no room for transformation, right? Capital T truth is pretty rare. And when it comes to individual human psychology, we usually have these crazy belief systems that are like send us off on some other tangent until we meet someone and we go, oh my God, it is possible, right? Like, there were so many things in my life that I thought were not possible. I'll give you just a super simple example. yoga. In my 20s, I was really into yoga, and I did it like, 2, 3, 4 times a week. My body was like very fit. It was very strong, but I could not for the life of me do like a headstand, right? Like in the middle of I couldn't even do it against the wall, but I definitely couldn't do it in the middle of a room. Like I tried a million times. I could not get my feet up over my head, which is hilarious because I remember doing it as a kid, but I just couldn't do it. And I figured, I'm like, well, I'm too old. I'm not strong enough. I'm, whatever the belief system was, because my experience was I tried and 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 I really wanted to do it and I could not do it. And so I was like, okay, well, the only thing that makes sense is my body can't do it. Right? Like I'm not capable of doing that. Well, lo and behold, months later, I'm having this conversation with my mom, and she was like, oh, I can do that. And she like literally she didn't even stretch or anything. She just got up in the middle of the living room, put her head down, her hands right, her head right between her hands, and went straight up with her legs up in the air and just held it. I was like, what? And it was instantaneously, boom, my belief system changed. And I got up and I didn't even think about it. And I got down and I put my head between my hands and I shot my feet right up into the air and held it. I thought that I could not do it. So there's millions of stories like that all across. The 4-minute mile is a great story, right? Where like 20 years, no one could beat the 4-minute mile. I mean, years and years and years. And people said it was impossible. Scientists and specialists said the human body couldn't do it. It was not possible. No one could do it. As soon as one guy did it, within a month, 12 other people did it. The mind is amazing, and the limitations that we put on our own self are our own limitations that we put on ourselves. When it comes to a healthy mind and a healthy body where you have peace inside your mind, you're not fighting your own self, your body is healthy and vibrant and alive, and all the cells are functioning and working properly with all the other cells, and you're feeling good and you're looking good. That is within reason. If you do not have that and you want that, it is possible for you. 100% it is possible for you. There's been thousands of people who had the itty bitty shitty committee, whether it was in your head, whether it was something happened in life, or whether it was like you just had no idea what that life would even look like. People have done it. I have done it. You can do it. I know that it is possible 100%. And the cool thing about beliefs, because oftentimes we go, oh, I'm an old chicken, I can't change. Well, that's just the belief. The cool thing about beliefs, and this is one statement right here. I encourage you to just hear it, to just listen to it, to allow the words to move into your body and into your mind and make whatever adjustments and whatever changes are necessary for you so that you can live a life of ease, where you can live a life where you have a peace of mind in your mind and your body is healthy and vibrant and alive, whatever the exact number on the scale ends up being. That is what I want for you, comfortable and confident in your body. And I know that you can have that. This is the phrase, and just let it sink in. Beliefs are just thoughts that you thought over and over and over again. Beliefs are just thoughts that have gone on repeat. They say that we repeat the same thoughts over and over again, like about 90% of our thoughts are the same thoughts day to day. So you could only imagine if from when we were a child, there were certain perceptions that we had about ourselves, about food, about our bodies, about our value, about our self-esteem, about our self-worth, about, what's enough love, what's enough money, what is a good girl supposed to do and not supposed to do, who are you in the world? And we thought these thoughts over and over and over and over and over again until they became beliefs. And the way that the mind works is there's a part of the brain called the RAS, the reticular activating system, whose job it is to notice things in the world that are familiar and similar. So if we have begun to think negatively about ourselves, our bodies, our food, our value, our self-esteem in a negative way, our mind will naturally go and give us proof of those thoughts. The more that we repeat it, the more that our mind will look for evidence in the world to support that thought, because we like to be right. It is the greatest joy of all being human, is I was right, I told you so. So our own brain does that to us. It's like, see, we're right. See, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're right. And then we go, see, I'm right. I am, it is hard. This is impossible. I am not worth it. And of course, once we stop and we go, wait a minute, what are those thoughts that I've been repeating over and over? And the great news about that, what's the great news about that, ladies? The great news is that we can create new beliefs. Once we begin to question authority, especially our own, question those beliefs, begin to realize that they're just thoughts that we thought over and over and over again. They're not real in the sense of capital R real and the only reality. There is more for us. We've been focusing on one little piece that seemed really hard and difficult, and it doesn't need to be that difficult. And when we begin to intentionally cultivate our thoughts to think what we want to be thinking, repeat that. Cultivate your thoughts and begin thinking what you want to be thinking, that it can be easy, that it can be simple, that even though I haven't experienced it yet, I'm super excited to experience a body that's healthy and vibrant and alive, right? A body that feels really good, a body that doesn't struggle to get in and out of bed, a body that doesn't hurt. Right? I'm really excited, even though I've spent a lot of years self-flagellating myself, being mean to myself about my body. I'm really, really excited and looking forward to having some kind, positive, nice, gentle, compassionate thoughts on a consistent basis. What would that look like? What would that sound like? What would that feel like? What would that smell like? What would it taste like? What would it touch like? What would it be like to really begin to think the thoughts that you want to be thinking in an active, positive way, and begin repeating those over and over and over again? And what you're going to begin to notice in the world is that your brain is on automatic pilot. It will start to give you evidence in the world to support your belief that you're cultivating and creating those thoughts. It will begin to show you things in the world that support that and say, yes, you're right. You are worthy. This can be easy. You can do this. Eating fresh and alive and vibrant foods is fun. It's incredible when your taste buds change and you start to crave water and you start to look forward to raw vegetables. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's freaking invigorating and it's so exciting and it's wild and it's so fun to change. And for you to be the instigator of that change, for you to be intentional with that change, for you to say, this is the direction that I'm going. This is where I want to go. This is how I want to think. This is how I want to feel. This is how I want to act. And I'm going in that direction. Watch me. Oh my goodness. All right, ladies, I get super fired up of this because I was actually all three, and it's not like it's 100% gone, right? I mean, those beliefs that I cultivated for the last 35 years of my life, they don't just poof gone, but they are softer, they are gentler. The edges, right, have been rounded out. That voice it's soft and it's kind of in the background. And what's loud now is this voice that's like, you are okay. You are fine. You are wonderful. You are beautiful. Everything is okay. And anytime those other little voices start to come up, I can be intentional because I have practiced it and because somebody taught me. So thank you. I have had a lot of really incredible mentors and teachers along the way that have said, I've been there. I thought that it was impossible, that that was only for other people, that I was just going to be a big person. I have thought, right, that, oh, well, you know, now that I did this activity and now that this happened and now that I have a kid and now that I'm in my 40s and now that, right, all of these things, I thought, oh, well, I've lost it so many times. Of course, I'm going to gain all my weight back, right? And I've had that itty bitty shitty committee stuck in my head telling me that I'm not worth it, that I should just shut up until I lose some weight, right? I've had all three of these things. And I'm here to tell you that we can move past that. We can begin to create and cultivate the mind and the experience that we desire. I love you so much. And I am so glad that you are here. Ladies, let's button those jeans so we're feeling freaking rad in our bodies. It's springtime, summer's coming, and we want to feel really good here, and the rest of the body. I love you, and I will talk to you soon.